All right, I want to do a quick video on our new system about how to achieve really crisp straight lines no matter how long you've been painting. But you have to follow the system very, very precisely on how it's done. You'll notice that the taping in this video is a slightly bit differently than the taping that we did when we want to keep stuff off of baseboards that we're not painting. This particular process is done so that we can get really crisp lines. So it first starts with our taping on the baseboard. And remember, this can be done on either the first coat or the second coat. It doesn't matter when it's done. It's best if it's done the first coat, because you're gonna get that. The first coat is when you achieve really, really crisp, clean lines. The second coat is when you can still be off of your line about this much and you're gonna look perfectly fine with it. So everybody knows that on your first coat is when you get your really crisp line. That's when you take your time and make sure that your bristles are perfect. So this can be done either one, but is best done on the first coat. So in this particular instance, we have baseboard, let's just say, that is opened. It's not currently caulked at all. This process is going to take care of your taping, it's going to take care of your caulking, and it's going to take care of your painting, all in one step if you do it right. So there's no reason under this step, there's no reason to go through a room and do all the caulking on all the tops of the baseboards because this step actually takes care of that. So what do we do first? We simply grab ourselves some tape, and what we want to do is we want to get right onto the baseboard. Once again, you watch the video on tape, but you're actually going to leave a little bit of the baseboard to be seen. You're actually taping the top of the baseboard, the top lip, but you're leaving about 1/16 of an inch of that white line still on there. And then push it down, get it sealed nice and tight. Okay? Your next step that you're going to do is caulking. I'm going to do another area right around here so that you can see that particular thing. But I want to show us what we are capable of if we do this. So this is just like a door handle. I'm actually going to leave a tiny bit of the area open. You can see the person who did this got some pink on it, pulling tight, and I'm leaving a little bit of the actual metal to be seen. Okay, the very next step is caulking. You apply a nice clean bead of caulking. Once again, this takes care of the whole step. If this if this break was busted, this step takes care of that, because now you're caulking and taping and painting all at the same time. So you take your bead of caulk, you bring it on here. Your objective is to get caulk right on top of the tape and onto the wall. You want to bridge that gap, get your finger wet a little bit. You run your line right through there. We're not talking about a really a lot of moisture there. It might actually even be better for you, depending on your level of caulking experience, to just go ahead and do a dry bead of caulk. Let me show you what that looks like real quick. A dry bead of caulk takes a little bit more time, a little bit more talent, but once again, I'm leaving that lip. I'm allowing there to be a little bit of white showing on here. I'm pushing it down, and this time I'm going to dry caulk it. So you just do this area here. No water on my finger. I just come through and I dry caulk it. You get the same results, but you didn't have to get your caulking wet to achieve that. So depending on your level of caulking, you could do either one. I prefer to dry caulk still. But the process with this is now you want to paint over top of that before the caulking dries. So once you do one wall in a room, you need to come through and you need to paint that immediately. So you open up your can. You've already seen the video on can top placement. You get your brush in it. You've seen your video on how to properly apply paint to your bristles and make sure that there's enough paint loaded in there. All right, now the next objective is to apply paint right on top of the tape and the caulking. Just go right over top of it. It doesn't need to be a perfectly straight line. You're just putting that right over top of it. You don't want any type of heavy runs or sags on the paint, but you're just putting that paint right on top of the caulking. You're not pushing your bristles super hard, because if you did that, you'd be digging into the caulking. Your next step is to immediately, actually I got a little bit too much where I first started, so let me pull some of that off. There we go. Then I'm going to come through here. I'm going to caulk around this. Same thing we did to that baseboard. I'm going to dry caulk it. Once again, I'm caulking to the tape. I'm allowing there to be caulk on the tape. Perfectly fine. Once again, immediately coming through, I'm applying paint right to the tape. Okay. Now I'm going to come through immediately, before that caulk dries, I come through and I pull off my tape, and watch this line. Look how crisp that particular line is. You can't pay, very rarely can you pay, I should say, for a caulk line that's crisper than that. Let me pull this off here. You're going to see a lot of pink under this one because the last painter put a bunch of pink on it. You're not going to be able to pay for a crisper line than what that is. This is a crisp, clean, smooth line. It shows you the process. It can be done with anything, around any type of trim, on the sides of door frames. It's very simple. Show you real quick what it looks like on the side of a door frame. You want to swing over here. You can either apply it like this, leave a little bit of the door frame. There, you would caulk here and then paint, or you can apply it, I'm out of tape. You can apply it like, let me just use this piece, like this. Leave a little bit of the wall, put your caulking there, paint over top of it. But either way that you do that, you're going to get a clean, crisp line. When you tape, caulk, paint right over top of it, and then immediately peel it off. Make sure you have a trash bag with you. You can discard the used tape in, because remember, the back sides of this tape is still extremely wet. You don't want that sitting around a drop cloth. You don't want that sitting around your paint can, somebody stepping on it. Immediately discard it into a trash bag. But every single time you will achieve perfectly crisp, clean lines if you do it that particular way. Make sure it's done on the first coat, the very first time. Make sure you don't caulk the tops or the sides of door frames before you get into paint a room. There's no reason to do that anymore. And this will literally allow anybody to be able to pick up a paintbrush and to get those crisp lines without having a ton of experience in order to get there.